These are the new Intercity Fleet trains, probably one of the most successful trains. Sorry, what is that?
Held to ransom by these union thugs.
We will not be threatened.
They've got to be stood up to.
Enough's enough.
With passengers.
It's really frustrating.
How am I going to get home?
Caught in the middle of this industrial dispute. The fleet has been kept off the tracks since October, with unions saying that they are unsafe.
It's just a cynical play by the union bosses to hold the public hostage.
These are the trains that didn't fit tracks. They were too long for tracks. They didn't fit the tunnels. They had to be modified.
You've got to be kidding me. I've had enough of this. This is the new Intercity Fleet, probably the least favourite out of all train spotters, and it's just plagued with problems. And in this video, I explain everything that's gone wrong and what we can do to fix it. It's July of 2015, and the government is keen on getting some new trains for the Intercity Fleet, as currently at the moment, the Intercity Fleet just consists of an H-set and a V-set. But unfortunately, the V-sets are beginning to age, and the H-sets are looking to be moved over to suburban. So, they had to find a new train, and well, they chose the D-set in 2016, and they were ordered then. In early 2019, the D-sets arrived, and a few months later they began testing across the Intercity network. That's when the trains ran into problems. You see, back in 2019, when the trains began testing, a lot of the crew on board were complaining about how there were no guard features, and well, if you didn't hear it before, these trains were built without guard features, meaning that the driver controlled the doors through these rather bad quality CCTV cameras. And as a result of that,
by these union thugs.
We will not be threatened.
They've got to be stood up to.
Enough's enough.
With passengers.
It's really frustrating.
How am I going to get home?
Getting very tired of it.
Caught in the middle. Today, credit and blame.
This is an incredibly important intervention by the Premier. The Premier has stepped in.
This government could have fixed this mess much sooner. Dominic Perrottet and his team chose conflict over solution.
Rah! Did I scare you? I honestly should cut that out of the video. Why did I do that? We now fast forward to January of 2022, where it's announced that guard features will be coming to the D-sets, which is a very good sign for the future of these trains, and hoping that the guards will be keeping their jobs. So, eventually, back in January of 2022, the trains began testing again. This was one of the first times that they came out in months upon months, and from then they began testing. And as pretty much everyone is wondering, what went wrong? It's time to rewind a little. So, originally what started all of the industrial action was that the drivers on board the NIF trains and guards in general at Sydney trains were a little concerned on the fact how there were no guard features on these trains, and these trains were reportedly meant to have no guards on board. Basically, what that meant was that the driver would control the doors from the cab with some poorly designed cameras, which were shown on news channels several years back, showing how low quality they were. That's then when the concern sparked between the staff. They then started talking to the government, but then the government began to refuse to pay the extra $100 million or so to get these new features put in, meaning that it would delay the project. But since it was the Liberal government, they just disagreed. They did not want to do it. Even though they wanted to try and get the trains out as early as possible, all they were doing was just delaying them. Eventually, after about 6 to 12 months of fighting between the union and the government finally agreed to have the trains get guard features implemented into them. That was done in about late 2022, early 2023-ish, and since then they have slowly been rolling out guard features. It has not yet been confirmed that the guard features are fully out on the trains yet, as there have been no reported signs of guards actually on the trains when they're out in their test runs. So we'll have to find out about that in the future. Now, reportedly after the trains were originally meant to enter service in 2019 on the Central Coast line, then in 2020 on the Blue Mountains line, then in 2021 on the South Coast line, it has now been rescheduled to enter service late this year in 2024. It has not yet been confirmed clearly on what line it will begin running on, but there's probably a good chance that it will start running operations on the Central Coast and Newcastle line. It'll then roll down to the Blue Mountains line, following by the South Coast line. Just before we head on to an explanation of the trains that these ones are replacing, I thought I'd give a bit of a description on how the trains test and where you can find them. So basically what normally happens is they test, you originally used to test only on weekdays, they now also test on weekends as it does get closer to that hopeful date of the trains entering service. So yeah, basically you can find these trains testing mainly on the Central Coastline and Blue Mountains line, and a little bit less on the South Coast line. As you can see in this video just here, this is from the other day of me filming a DSET passing by Arncliffe on its test run up from Kiama through to Central and back down to Kiama. So yeah, basically there's lots of opportunities, and if you haven't seen one already, then I highly suggest checking out any trip to find the trains and when they are doing test runs so you can take a look at one. So yeah, anyways, now on to the next subject. So, you're probably also wondering, what are the D-sets replacing? Well, these are the good old Intercity V-sets. They are around 50 years old, and they've been around for about 60 years, as the first generation of them are around 60 years old, but they have since been retired in the early 2000s. But these trains operate currently on the Blue Mountains line and the Central Coast line. They, fun fact, actually used to operate on the South Coast line, but when the H sets were built, they replaced the V sets on the South Coast line. So yeah, these trains do operate regular services on the Blue Mountains line. Every single train operating on that line is a V set, and then about 40% of the trains on the Central Coast line on weekdays only are the V sets. So yeah, these trains are aging quite a lot. Some things that people don't like is the doors. When you open them, they are not automatic. You have to pull the kind of hook manually, and also the doorway is quite tight, and it is extremely inaccessible, having to use huge doors to get through from the door compartment area into the seating area. So that's therefore why these DSET trains have been introduced and will hopefully be entering service soon, as it is much more of an open layout, similar to the Waratah A and B set trains. Now, I wasn't planning on originally adding this in the video, but I found it kind of funny. So, basically, when I was doing my research for the information on the D-sets, I found a video by a MP Parliament member. Not sure if they're Liberal or Labour, but judging by the amount of red that they were wearing and in their branding, I'm going to guess they were Labour. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, if you know who they are. But this is in State Parliament 2 years ago, back in 2022. And, of course, no offence to this MP individual here or his team or whatever, but yeah, here's just a little bit of a skit and sort of explanation of what the politicians were saying about the D-sets back in 2022.
And proceeded to boast about what a great thing that the government has delivered when it's not even on the tracks yet. Remember that this is the new Intercity Fleet, Mr. Deputy President, which was promised years ago, is actually billions of dollars over budget.
No, it's not.
2 years late. And because they refused to actually talk to the people who make these things and operate them on the ground, they wouldn't talk to the union. There's a fellow called Elliot.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold it right there. Since when was I part of this? Like, stop. Just
who's decided to do that now, but these other two roosters won't be order. The other two ministers won't be part of it. And now comes in here and boasts that buying trains in South Korea, exporting jobs, importing duds. Let's remember, these are the trains that didn't fit tracks. They were too long for tracks. They didn't fit the tunnels. They had to be modified. And then on top of that, because they didn't listen to the unions that they so despise, the rail workers who know how these things work, that it's such a great project, because guess what? People are going to be able to charge their iPhone.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, that's enough. Believe me, the next few scenes get really gruesome. And totally not, because the video just ends straight after that. But anyways, that is unfortunately the end for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Apologies for it being a little shorter than usual. I thought I'd also give a bit of a mention on how I am planning again on soon doing a 5,000 subscriber special. So thank you all so much for 5,000 subscribers. But yeah, that is all for this video. Let me know in your opinions on the new Intercity Fleet D sets in the comments below, and what you think should be done to make them better trains. Anyways everyone, that is all for this video. Thank you all for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you all next time.